Hello everyone, it's Ultimate here again. Okay, so back with another Bayonetta 2 guide. Now today we're just going to be going over how to complete the witch trials as easily as possible. So you'll unlock the first witch trial from completing all the story chapters, and then the next witch trials you get from completing the earlier one. So I found the easiest way to do this is using the Rodin. This does cost at least 5 million halos, but I'll leave some videos up on how to acquire that. And then we're going to be using Bracelet of Time, and I'm just using Evil Harvest Rosary. So you can use Bayonetta or Sean here. Sean gets more combo points but takes more damage, so it's a bit easier with Bayonetta actually. So I think we'll just go Witch Trial 1, then 4 and 5. There's some similarities between them. So we're just using the Rodin here. There's mostly 3 combos we want. There's Kick, Pause Kick. This is a magic drain staff. So we can't use items in Witch Trials, so we need to use this to fill up our magic. Then the other 2 moves we use is 360 Kick for taking out groups of smaller enemies, and then Kick on anything tougher. And you just jump, kick, or you double dodge Pam for 4 and chase them down. So the kick does match up just perfectly with Bracelet of Time, which I can't use yet, but I'll show you what I mean after. So on verse 1, we'll always get a whole bunch of small enemies. There's a bit different on Witch Trial 5, but we'll move on to that after. It's the only one where it gets a bit complicated with the Rodin. So you can see our Magic Drain Staff kills the smallest enemies as well, so we're just going to spam this. Most of the Witch Trials will start out with an easy verse, and then there's boss verses at that. So we have a whole bunch of magic now, so depending on the waves you get, well, you can see we have 4 smaller enemies here, so we can just spam the 360k. Oops. Now anytime we get bigger enemies, or even smaller enemies as well, you can do kick. So if you activate Bracelet of Time, it syncs up almost perfectly with kick. So if you activate it right as you do the first slash, and then deactivate it as you do the third one, you should be able to use Bracelet of Time right away again. If you hold it a bit too long, there will be a delay. So you can stunlock most enemies with this. Another thing is you gain magic while using Bracelet of Time, so you actually almost offset your magic costs completely while doing this. If you're hitting one enemy, you might lose a little bit of magic, but if you hit multiple enemies, you'll gain magic. So once we have some magic here, we really shouldn't run out. You need to be pretty conservative in Trial 5. You can also jump off of big enemies. So you can see I just got that guy completely stunlocked there. You can do that with most bigger enemies. Now the kick does a weak slash, then it does 2 hits, and then a strong slash that launches enemies. So what you can do is you can launch enemies into the wall, which deals a little bit of extra damage and leaves them stunned. Or you can just do 2 slashes and then jump and 2 slashes, so you don't actually need to launch them. Sometimes you end up a bit too high though, or enemies will end up a bit too high, so you can just wait for them to drop down. Nope, not what I meant to do, but that hits the whole screen. You can actually use most moves on the Rodin. Once you start hitting an enemy, most attacks will stunlock them. I think kick is still one of the highest DPS. So the Rodin is unblockable, but any enemies that dodge will still give you trouble, so against any bosses or anything that like Sloth, you'll want to use Bracelet of Time. Sometimes enemies can sneak hits in between your attacks, so if you're not careful. So most verses are a bit of a joke, but when we start getting 2 bosses, then it gets a bit more complicated. You can also use Umbran Spear if an enemy gets knocked too far up. So you just lock on twice, and you should teleport to them. So yeah, you can see we're mostly just spamming these free combos here. Oh no, we get a boss. This guy's a bit more complicated. You can jump off of him and keep doing this, but you won't stagger him out of everything. So it does still get some attacks off. Yeah, this guy's weird. I find this is one of the hardest guys to fight with this strategy. We have to fight 2 of them in Witch Trial 5 too, so we'll see what we do there. Yeah, he has some really high reaching attacks. And you can't hit him out of everything, so that's the issue with him. Most of the other bosses are a bit of a joke. So Witch Trial 1 to 3 should be more or less the same thing. There's only single bosses. Witch Trial 4 is a bit longer and there's some tougher waves, so we'll do that and then we'll go on to Witch Trial 5, which is the only one that's a bit complicated with this strategy. We do have a whole bunch of other moves we could use, like ice clubs, but you can't do the whole thing with these free combos, so I'll make it as easy as possible for now. You can see we get a whole bunch more enemies now, but it's still small enemies. Well, actually, we get 3 tougher enemies at the start of Witch Trial 5. You can use the Magic Drain Staff at the start of every verse though. Enemies can't actually dodge it, so you can use it on bosses as well. Do 100 damage total. You can see the last hit of the 360 kick will launch enemies as well, but you can cancel that part. It doesn't do much damage if you cancel it though. Oops. There's a lot of enemies around too. Sometimes it kind of changes target while you're attacking, so that can be an issue. Oh, now we get another wave that's a bit different, but the strategy is actually more or less the same. We'll have a giant beloved in a minute. Can it hit those guys up there? No, it doesn't look like it. Oops. Die. Oh, I'm not even hitting his orb. There we go. So if you hit the beloved in their orb, it deals double damage. So you can see we got this giant guy spawn here. Now we're just going to Bracelet of Time and jump up his back. Then keep hitting him in the orb and jumping off him. If you do it right, you should be able to stun lock him. Oops. That wasn't high enough. There we go. Oh, somehow I ended up in front of him. Oh no. So you can see he's not staggering right away anymore. You'll do double damage and double stagger damage if you hit his orbs. So if you do it all perfectly, you should get staggered with like every combo. And then he just keeps getting knocked forward. So I messed up a bit there, but I still got it done. So you can see my magic is like always full here. The only one I find you really need to be conservative is Witch Trial 5. Oops. Not what I wanted. I'm not used to the Joy-Con. There we go. And those really OP too. You just do back forward punch. That doesn't do much damage actually. The Rodin's weaker than the actual Angel Arms. Seems to depend on the attack though. Some of them are only a little weaker, but then things like the Pain Wheel are a lot weaker. So our Stiletto on the Rodin, we actually use the Pain Wheels, but it's quite a bit weaker. So the one we're going to pick up here is stronger. So if you turn into Panther form, you'll do a strike when you do a punch or a kick, which deals a little bit of extra damage. Then if you hit an enemy into a wall, it also deals extra damage. It will also leave her stunned for a second, as you can see here. So with bosses, the idea is you just kick, and Bracelet of Time. Then you Panther form, run up to them, and then do it again. If you do it all perfect and bounce them into a wall every time, you should just offset your magic cost, but if you make any mistakes, you'll lose a bit of magic in boss fights. So some of these guys are a bit harder to launch, even in Witch Town. But once you start hitting them, they should be stun locked. I dare. So you don't actually always need to use Bracelet of Time. It's mostly the enemies that dodge. Now Golem 2, if you hit his orb directly, you'll deal double damage, so he's actually left wide open at the start. So just run in and use Bracelet of Time. Golem's a joke. He should be broken. That was weird. Whatever. So you can jump off every enemy, but it's easier to do on big enemies consistently. Yeah, Doctor's a bit weird. Sometimes he just keeps getting knocked up. So you can either wait or actually hit him away from a wall. Then he should drop down a bit. You can jump after them for a while, but it's hard to actually jump off of bosses. There's 12 verses in Witch Trial 4, it's the longest one. There's only 9 in Witch Trial 5, but we get a whole bunch of double boss verses. So the Rodin is unblockable, but with these shield guys, if you hit them directly, they'll try to block it, and then it will break their shield like that. So there's a few enemies who can give you trouble if you just try spamming attacks, especially Sloth and any boss that dodges. I'm gonna try launching these guys and catch both of them, but the one guy was still in there. So if you want pure platinum, you can do this with Gaze of Despair. You can still stun lock most enemies with this, but it does make it a little trickier since they'll do more damage. Also, Evil Harvest Rosary will go off on a perfect dodge or bat weapon with Bayonetta. On John, it's only off of Moth weapon, sorry. So the Evil Harvest Rosary is a bit better on Bayonetta. If you want pure platinum, it's better to use John. The Rodin does the exact same amount of damage. Even in Umbran Climax, it has no Wicked Weaves. So Umbran Climax increases the damage. It makes like every attack launch enemies, even the biggest ones, but the damage increase is pretty pathetic. So I find it's better to just use a Bracelet of Time. So yeah, the first 4 trials shouldn't be much of an issue with this strategy. You can basically just use the Magic Drain Staff, kick, and 360 kick. Now we'll move on to Witch Trial 5, where things get a bit complicated. So we can still Magic Drain Staff at the start of every verse, which we'll pretty much need to do. But we'll get an Allegiance, a Hatred, and a Malicious at the start of here. So it's actually harder to build up magic, so I'm going to take Bracelet of Time out at the start. Still going to do Magic Drain Staff. I think it kills their Enrapture, actually. Yeah, it does. It was a Enrapture, not a Malicious, sorry. Oh, what even hit me? That was weird. It, like, canceled his attack, but it still hit. So we can sort of stun lock these guys with the 360 kick, but Allegiance will keep trying to get attacks off. Now that guy stuns, so I'll just Magic Drain. There we go. Perfect. Now we're gonna get 2 Valiant, so this is why we didn't want to use magic at the start. I find this is one of the trickier parts. This is one of the only spots where the kick strategy it doesn't seem the best. So, I'm gonna try to spam the stiletto, which is the pain wheels. You do lock on and forward punch in the air. It's a lot quicker in the air. You can do it on the ground as well. Gonna magic drain staff first. Oh, so yeah, these guys have quick high reaching attacks. But you can see I'm hitting both of them with this. It goes through them. Also getting a lot of Evil Harvest Rosary off. So I'll just kick him. Yeah, perfect. Oh, 2 bars of magic. Okay, perfect. So from this point on, it's pretty tough. There's a lot of there's a lot of dual boss waves. So you'll see we have Elrune and Lopter here. So if you land all your attacks perfectly and bounce them into a wall, you should just offset your magic cost, but you kind of gotta pay attention to both bosses. If you manage to catch them at the same time, you can even gain magic, but if you're sloppy at all, you'll start losing magic. So the main trick is get as much as possible from the first 2 verses, and then save that magic, don't waste it. See if I can get all 3 of them. Nope. Oh, that grab. Oh my, that is quick. So yeah, even with this strategy, enemies can still catch you sometimes. But you get a whole bunch of healing items, or a whole bunch of the green laurels at the end of every verse here. So it deals like, I think, half of full health. So even if you get hit quite a bit, you do heal a lot between verses. Oh, fucking... Why is this guy so high? Where's Baldur? Yeah, Ace, you're in profit. Just keep getting launched higher. It's so weird, so I'm gonna go for Mass Lumen first. You can see it only takes a few combos to kill them here. Bosses have greatly reduced health on Witch Trials. You can see my magic went down a lot there, though. So, I'm gonna have to start paying attention. I should have magic drain staffed at the start as well. The bosses can't actually dodge it, and it does 100 damage. Oh wow, that launches a Maya. Okay, maybe I should have taken Evil Harvest Rosary off for these bosses, actually. It's gonna be hard to follow up if I launch them with it. Oh, I actually managed to follow him up here, nice. I jumped off him, that's why. There's only one enemy you won't get much magic, but when there's 2 bosses up here, or even here, I can get quite a bit. Ah, get out of here, sloth. So if you hit a sloth into a wall, he actually just drops flat on his face. So he's left open for quite a while. Or not left open, but he's left on the ground, so I won't keep attacking you. Sloth are never really defenseless. Okay. I believe this is verse 9, so this might be the last one, or there might be 2 more. So we're gonna have to be conservative here. I didn't run far enough forward. There we go. So you can see this actually takes a decent amount of health off the bosses too. So we should be fine. Oh, that's not gonna help. Okay. So we got Bayonetta and Jean, and then it's Rosa and Baldur. So as long as you have some magic going in here, just use the magic drain at the start of both verses, you should be okay. Whoa. Thanks for that, Rosa. Oh my god. There we go. Kept switching between targets. Does that even if you're not touching your control stick at all? It's a bit annoying. There we go, perfect. So you need 4 orbs of magic to activate Bracelet of Time, so I was actually pretty close to running out at that, but we did manage to get it done. So, happy about that. So yeah, just make sure you build up as much as possible in the first 2 verses, and then be as conservative as possible. If you don't need to use it, then just don't use it. Save it for the next verse. There we go. So you actually get nothing for completing Witch Trial 5. For the early ones, you'll get a verse card and you'll unlock the next Witch Trial. So, yeah. Hopefully that helps anyone who's been having trouble. I'll definitely have a guide up for beating Rodin later. And then we'll go through the story chapters as well, and I'll do some pure platinum guides. But, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.